I love printing. I love printing. I love it. I love printing.
Hey everybody, want to welcome you back to my series with me, Warren Werbitt. Today I am fortunate enough, I always say the same thing, I'm fortunate enough. I guess Johnny Carson also said the same thing on his show. I have Tony Kenton from over the pond in the UK. And today Tony is working with, you know what, I'm going to do it differently because I think you're awesome and you speak well on your own. Why don't you just give us a minute and a half, who you are, where you're from, and what you do. Go.
Okay. Well, as Warren says, my name's Tony Kenton. I'm based in London. I've been in the printing business. You might not believe it by looking at me, for over 50 years. It was since I run my very first press.
That's almost that's just short of how long I've been alive at 54. So you look pretty good.
I was running presses when you were still in nappies, kiddo. But I want to tell you why I got into print, and I'll explain why I think that's relevant as well. When I got into print, printing was the third largest industry in the world. My dad said to me, he says, son, he says, you don't want to go to university, you don't want to go to college. He says, if you want a good long career making lots of money, then you go into the print as well, because that made me third generation printer, although we never followed in our family businesses. I want to give you an insight to money now, because people talk about printing and money, but not recently. So I'm going to add to that.
Well, printing, there used to be money in printing.
Yeah, that's my point.
Okay, go ahead.
I had a friend who I worked with for years, and he did color separations, you know, the films. He built his own camera using glass filters. He spent something like $500, and I'm talking Canadian now, so I'm helping out your market here. 500 Canadian dollars building his camera, and he used to work 5.5 days a week, as a lot of people did. He managed to make 10 color sets a day, and he charged something like $70 for each set. Now, I just do the figures for you, right? That was $3,850 a week the guy made. His total overheads were something like $900. Now, that meant that he was making something like $12,500, $13,000 profit a month. Now, if I tell you that a house in the UK was about that price when he was doing that, that would be the equivalent today of him earning profit $500,000 a month. Now, he was working from some crappy little basement. They had no hot running water. They had no wallpaper. There was him and one other guy doing it. And they felt that they were so impoverished that they used to even steal the electricity from the lamppost outside. Now, the idea is that the vast majority of printers made money. Even when we started, there was no quick printing when we started. We were the first in the yellow pages, and we put an ad in. Now, before us, people would take 3 to 4 weeks to get printing done. And we offered it the same day. Nobody ever heard of that. Within a month, by the way,
when you offered the same day, you ruined it for all of us.
Oh, screw you. We're making loads of money out of it. It was cool. It's, you know, people were queuing around the block, and forget about MIS systems and ERP. We went round with a piece of paper and a checklist, and we walked around the block and go, what you've got, what you've got, what you've got. And when we got to capacity for that day, we told the rest of the customers to go home and come back tomorrow. We were buying about 1 printing press a month to try and keep up with it. And that lasted for about 2, 3, 4 years. And then in the late 70s and the 80s, more and more competition and all the rest of it. And if I fast forward you, it got to commodity printing, people, low margins. And you know what it is? And that's what I'm excited about you talking to me, is that print, as any other business, is about supply and demand. Soon as demand goes less than the supply, in other words, there's much more supply than people want, the prices come down. And you get companies going commoditizing, Vistaprint offering free print, apart from delivery, of course.
I just want to touch on the Vistaprint.
You feel free.
Hey, no, Vistaprint.
Your show.
Great big technology company. They're not printers, right? Everybody should know they're like Walmart. They'll give you the business card for almost free. they'll give you their templates, but the minute you go make one change, the
Oh,
price starts to climb up, and they're no longer the cheapest. I once had a friend say to me, "Can you quote me 5,000 cards? I'm going to Vistaprint." And I said, "No, I'm bigger than that." And then I said, "Nah, I'm not that much bigger. I'll do the quote." And when I did the quote, I happened to be $100 cheaper at my full price. So that's just a lesson for everybody.
But you know, the thing is, and Vistaprint and a lot of other companies, they set expectations. So before people got caught on the postage and the delivery and the quantity, and that you didn't want it on paper and you didn't want their name on the back of your cards, they wouldn't think that, oh, this is crazy. You know, why don't I get it for $10 as opposed to $100? But once all the things were added up, of course it came to more. But their expectations were that they felt they were being ripped off by the printers. And we've seen that erosion, you know, and I think now's the time, and I'm sure you want to talk about this.
Shoot, jump in.
COVID, right? We've had this big thing, COVID, not just us, all around the world, obviously. For the London market, and don't forget, we're very much sort of city office orientated. It's meant that the vast majority of printers are running on less than 20% of turnover. Nobody can survive
over on this side, I've heard averages of anywhere from 40 to 70, with a few people maybe just below.
In London, it's down to 20% on the city type printing. It's a bit like if you were specializing in Wall Street, if you were in America or other places, you know, it's really sort of consolidated the market because there is nobody there. And what it's meant is that what the 20–30% in some cases is made up from is, you know, bits and pieces. You know, people go, I want this small amount and that small amount, but the actual general corporate stuff has disappeared. The only thing that you've got to be really careful of in the industry is that a lot of the measurement is being based on packaging, which has gone through the roof, signage, which has gone up. But if I say to you, you know, if you have three people and one is 6 foot and one is 4 foot and one is 5 foot, don't tell the 4 foot guy he's an average of 5 foot. He will not fit those clothes. And it's the same with the printing. It doesn't matter. Most printers on general jobbing printing, although the average may be 40%, you know, only as opposed to 20%, the general jobbing printer has lost the vast majority of it. And from our point of view, being in lockdown as well means even if you can do it, you can't do it.
Right.
So for our point of view, our store has been shut down for, well, since March the 23rd. So we're coming up to a year nearly.
You know, I'm looking at print through this COVID, and I'm looking at all business because nobody knows where anything's going. You can't forecast what you don't know. Retail's closed or open, but closed. Retail was a big part of the large format business. All these print companies that were set up for retail events. I mean, we met each other, I think it was 2012 when I joined the IPN group, which I will tell everyone, the IPN group, Tony was a founding member. We were about 52 printers from around the world, all different countries, all sharing information, all sharing knowledge, all sharing work amongst each other with our countries because we weren't competing, which I will tell you, that group was one of the best groups that I've ever joined. The first thing that it did was it's given me an international network of friends, which is priceless. You being one of them. And in that group, we've had so many people doing so many different things, and we've seen people come and go. Right. And I was just talking to Solvi in Iceland, and they're not doing too bad, but it was a little hectic there in the beginning. I'm just curious as to do we have any ideas to what could be afterwards? Right. There's all these markets. There's all these markets. Okay, go ahead.
What I was going to say was when we hit the first recessions, you know, in the 1990s and the early 2000s, 2010, in both cases, I did a book to the industry on where the print business is going. And it absolutely got slated, torn to pieces by everybody, because at that time there was something like a 2% growth per annum. But it was obvious where it was going. It wasn't anything, you know, it wasn't magic. I just happened to write it down. And in 2009, I did the second one. I wanted to call it I Told You So, but I didn't. I just called it Where the Print Business Had Gone. But here's the point. The point is that, look, where there's change, there's opportunity. I know that sounds like a soundbite. If you assume that where there is change, there's opportunity, there's never been more opportunity than there is now. The trouble is that most people in the printing industry are so embroiled in dirty marks on bits of paper that they've lost the point of why print existed in the first place, which was all about communication, spreading knowledge, helping people connect with others. And they've just focused on the methodology. It's a bit like, insisting on we're still going to have Pony Express. That cool, Pony Express, as much as it's famous, only lasted a couple of years, and somebody invented the telegraph and put pay to it. And it's the same thing. There is more opportunity today, but those opportunities are disguised in different ways. So, we're exploring new ways to attach ourselves to the market. We're looking at how we become more sticky. And we've got 3 or 4 projects in the pipeline that is going to define what we're going to be doing in the future. One of them I euphemistically called, we sell fish. And you'll appreciate
how
this.
appropriate. I was going to say how appropriate,
absolutely,
right?
You'll love this. People go, what do you mean you sell fish? And I've got a banner that has me in a fishmonger's outfit holding a huge, great salmon. And the idea is that we sell fish for fishmongers. We sell cars for dealerships. We sell seats on airplanes for travel companies. We are selling whatever the client's selling, and that's our focus. So we're not trying to sell them print. We're trying to help them sell whatever they're selling. And that is a much easier way to connect to the client.
There was an article that I read last week, and I actually interviewed the fellow Chris Rodkey, and I called him because of his article. And his article said, I'm quitting print. And I was like, whoa. And when I started to read it, I was like, whoa, that guy's amazing. Because what did he say? I'm not selling print. I'm helping my customer. Absolutely. I'm selling solutions. I'm getting them out of a situation. And for that, I'm charging. But I am not selling print. If you want to go to print, go somewhere else. And,
I've got to tell you something, that is nothing new. When I started my own business in the early 70s, people used to come in and they say to me, Tony, I wonder if you can help me. Look, I've just set up a restaurant. I need to get customers in. I wonder if you can help me. I want to look really good so I can attract a new business. They came to me with a problem and I helped them solve it. Now, in those days, printing was a great answer. That hasn't changed in the sense that people still come to us with problems, but what we need to offer needs to be broader.
And the way we talk about it has to be different. We need to talk only about communication today and the different ways to communicate, not about print. Print is just one option in the channel, but absolutely. There are too many, there are still, so what I saw in COVID was, I saw the people in print that were lagging behind before for the last 5 years, that never looked at the web to print or any online or any change of anything. They just did what they did. And all of a sudden they're forced to step up in warp speed. It's hard to do when you're not in warp speed, do it well, right? And not screw it up.
Absolutely.
And now I've been saying this the whole COVID. If you were using your line of credit before COVID, you're pretty much screwed. Yep. If you weren't doing any of these things to catch up for the last 5 years, you're pretty much screwed. If you weren't using your line, you have a better chance. If you weren't doing anything for the last 5 years, but not using your line, you still have a chance, right? Because it's become so fine. And I've been listening to people, and it's been rather frustrating for me, always when I hear people talking just about print. I like to say that we talk about communication and how do we help people communicate their product to others? Because as we said before, and I'm going to touch on something about commodity, but we are not a commodity. We make things happen for companies. And when you said commodity, and I'll just go there and we can go somewhere else, but I'm thinking 2022 is the year, and I said it the other day, 2022 is the year that the print industry takes back printing, right? Because people need us. And I was just reading an article on third-party management, and I'm sick to my stomach today because me and you and others that have spent 50 years and 3 generations and millions of dollars equipment learning, we now have third-party print management companies like, I don't know, Inner Workings or HH Global, or I'll think of the others so that I can call them all out by name, They come into the printer. No, whatever. I'll try to be quick. Pharma goes to HH Global because they tell pharma we could save you money in headcount, because it's really all about the headcount in the pharma. It's not about saving money because there is no money saved. Then HH or one of the companies goes to the printer and they're taking away the pharma business. So the company's losing $2 million directly from it. They got to do it for HH to keep the business, to keep the people going, flowing in their companies. Except now it's not 2 million, it's $1.6 million or $1.5 million, right? And they're not offering the pharma company any better service or knowledge that we have. And then they're turning around and sending the printer a bill for 16 or 20% of the print invoice under a technology category. We just got banged out 40 points of our own industry. So when we talk commodity, we've been commoditized by some of the bigger companies that we've helped get there.
I was talking to our finance director and he says, I've got some really good news and some bad news for you.
Give me the bad news first.
I said, that's exactly what I said. I said, give us the bad news. He says, our very largest client, who's a multi-billion retailer in the UK and in Europe, has just gone bust. I said, oh my God. I said, that's terrible. I said, what's the good news? He says, things have been so slow for the last year, they don't owe us anything. And you know what? Under normal conditions, they would have ruined us.
Oh my God. Yes.
Every cloud has a silver lining.
Yeah, listen, you try to find them, right? But I do think, as I just said, I mean, you're a lover of print. You have been forever in every way possible. I want to find a way to bring that love back to our industry.
Oh, that's easy. No, that's easy.
Well, okay, so tell me how.
It's got look. If it's a bit like, and if you might have to cut this piece, right?
We don't. By the way, we don't have to cut nothing on my episode.
Okay. Printers, for the most part, have turned into almost like whores. So in other words, we give away the sex just for the money bit of it.
And by the way, some of them aren't even that good.
The whole thing, we've lost the passion and the sense and the form of love.
Well,
now, how we get it back into print is that we look again to build the relationships. We look again to build our connection to clients. We look again to be part of their businesses, so we become so sticky that they don't want us because we happen to be cheap. They want us because we're an integral part of their business. My job, as I see it going forward, is to establish those relationships with my clients. And you know what? I want them to feel that I'm part of their business, not somebody who's an outside supplier or vendor. That is the future.
So, okay, I have a point on that. Matthew Parker, you know Matthew Parker? He's one of your chums over on that side of the water. So this morning, he just posted on LinkedIn something about selling and how relationship selling is no more. And I read it and I got mad actually. And then I posted and I said, well, before you could have a relationship with your customer, you have to sell them. And then it starts from there. But you're not selling somebody without a relationship regardless.
You know, these are semantics. At the end of the day, relationship selling is an oxymoron in the sense that selling is something that you do to people. Relationships is something you have with people. So when you put the two together, people go, well, you know, that doesn't quite sound right. You're absolutely right what you said earlier. You build up the relationship and you know what? You don't sell to them. They want to buy from you. Right. Because they trust you and they know that you're doing it with their best interest, not just to make a buck.
Right. And to me, when he said that, I thought, oh my God, you're crazy. With the relationship, I work harder. I'm more committed. I want to see my customers succeed. I think it's the people that just quote and pray at any price.
Yes.
Right. I think, and that's the other thing that I'm noticing in COVID. I'm listening to all these different people talk about different things, and I think everyone's gone off the charts. I think everybody's looking for this fantastic formula way of doing things. And the truth is, and Matthew will tell me I'm crazy, but you got to connect with people still, be it direct mail, be it email, be it a phone call. I don't believe there's any one way that's any greater than the other. I think they all together make up a whole. Right? I think people have to just stop talking about the greatest way and get back to a little bit of old school. And even though no one likes that, and old school,
If you follow me on LinkedIn and places like that, you'll see I've been banging on about old
No,
school
I love
for a
your
long
stuff,
time.
but
Yeah,
old
absolutely.
school meaning you need to follow up. You need to stay in
Yeah,
touch.
absolutely.
You have to find a way to touch point. Email's okay, but it ain't great. Now everyone's saying, oh, go text them. I don't know. When I want to reach someone, I don't have to talk about it, but I know how to get through to them.
Yeah.
And if they're not if they're not getting back to me, guess what? They don't want to get back to me.
Absolutely. And you know what, it's for the most part, although this has been a time that most of us are never going to forget, and there's been its downside, of course, and we've all lost people we love. But the point being is that it's made us realize, one, what's important, and also genuine communications where you can't fake it as much as you used to be able to. So that's where the opportunities lies. You know, I'm a positive guy, but I'm going to, you know, I feel I want to say one thing where I end all this, and that is that I say that as much as I'm positive, I do have a regret. And I'll tell you what that regret is that, as I said right at the beginning, that I'm approaching being 50 years in this business. So that puts me of a certain age, although I admit I do look younger.
60? 60?
Well, a bit older than that.
Well,
yeah.
you could have. Your father could have started you at 10. That's how it was back then.
Well, no, it wasn't far off. I was starting at 14 and 15 running presses. That's how I earned my pocket money, by the way. But what I was going to say, my biggest regret now, because of I said earlier about where this changes opportunity, is that I'm going towards the latter part of my career rather than the beginning. I would love, absolutely adore, because I love what I do, to get into it now and for the future, because I know that I've only got 5, 6, 7, or 8 years to make my mark, take advantage of all the changes that are happening now, and end on a high where I'm not going to get too sort of scolded too much by my wife by taking it easy after that point. So I'm very optimistic, and hopefully anybody who sees this, and I'm sure there's many, they will pick up that sense of optimism and energy, and that there is some good things in this industry, because this industry, although we might call it print, it's not necessarily dirty marks on bits of paper. What it is, it's communications, it's knowledge, and it's sharing.
But there's innovation, there's technology. Yeah. It's not the old days of print, of the dirty industry. Listen, what I've been talking about lately, and I'm sure you're going to jump on the wagon. We got to get some of the all of the older thinking people in the industry that talk negative to get the hell out, because I've been saying that everyone needs to market themselves and give a story to themselves, but it starts at the top in the company. And if the chairman, CEO, president isn't jumping up and down with excitement, close your doors, because you're never going to get the message out. And then what happens is the people below aren't excited, and then you expect them to go out and do great things, but they have no tools in the toolbox. And the simple tool is passion.
You know what? Somebody once told me, if you don't believe in what you do, you're not going to get there, because ultimately you get what you deserve. And people might jump around when they hear that and go, it's not fair. COVID, we didn't know, we've worked hard, and all those, and they're absolutely right. But what I mean by you get what you deserve, if you work hard and you're willing to change and adapt and constantly do it, chances are, as long as you don't leave too much a trail of wreckage behind you, that the good things are going to happen in the future, because people you've worked with in the past will want to work with you again, and there's going to be new opportunities, and things will come right. But what goes around comes around, and just got to stick with it.
Good people are good people.
Good people are good people.
Right. I do hope that the IPN gets to meet again, because could use a few drinks.
Yes, no, the thing is that's it. This executive travel international isn't flavor of the month at the moment, but where the IPN really scored heavily is it's an organization of global friends. When people are doing business internationally, and that's going to continue, if not grow, they want people who have friends in other countries who will make sure it's done right for them. And that's where the IPN comes in.
Oh no, I think it's a great. So before I close up this session, any last words to anyone listening about our industry, if we couldn't get your excitement already?
I just think that, I've said everything I want to say, but the thing is I just want to make that point that, where there's change, there's opportunity, and you have the decision now to make post-COVID. Do you give up, or do you try and you change and you go for the future? Because I think the best advice I can give is, when I started, I used to employ a company down the road from me that did letterpress printing. And they worked in the basement, and the guy there, it always amused me. He must have been well over 6 foot, but the basement ceiling was about 5 foot. And he used to walk around sort of hunched up the whole time. And after about 6 or 7 months, I went there and I took a job down there for overprinting of envelopes. And his wife used to do all the administration. And I gave her the envelopes and I said, "Oh, can you overprint these?" And she said, "We won't be able to do that." I said, "Why not?" And she says, "My husband passed away." I said, "That's terrible." I said, "I thought he was only in his 30s and 40s, because I was only a teenager at the time." So he seemed quite old, but he still only was. She said, "Yes." She says, I said, "Do you mind if I ask you how?" And he said, "Yes." She says, "With all this change happening, we've got all these letterpress machines." He could not envisage a future for print. He could see lithographic coming. He could see other technologies coming. And so he felt printing was dead and it was never going to carry on. And he hung himself. I go, "Oh, where?" She says, "Here." I go, she saw the look in my face, and this 6 foot plus guy and a 5 foot, she says, "Oh, he sat on a chair and rolled off." But my point being, as much as it might be a horrible thing to think back, even then, if you don't see the opportunity, if you see it only in the way that you envisage how you've run the business in the past, it does seem to be a bit of a nightmare. You've actually got to open up. So my advice is, you've got to think wider. There is more opportunities today than there has ever been. And my only reservation is, but those opportunities are different, and they're going to take a longer and a tougher thing to actually find them. But they are there, that's for sure.
Hey, nobody said anything was easy, but I think the one thing, even with all the cliches, I think the one thing that that everyone knows is, you have to look at the glass as half full, not empty.
Absolutely.
If you're looking half empty, then just close up and wither away.
Yep.
You know. Anyways, Tony, I want to thank you. Always. Okay, thanks. Always great to chat with you. Love the whole sense of humor, whole attitude. We've always had great conversations, many a night drinking till the end. So that's always good. So I thank you again. We're going to have you back over from the other side of the pond, maybe when the season changes and you guys get a little bit more on the go and things open up. We'll do that then. So I thank you again.
You're welcome.
And we'll speak in a little bit.
Okay. And you take care, all right?
Always.